Discover the thrilling world of law enforcement as we present never-before-seen bodycam footage that shows the dramatic capture of a renowned gang of thieves causing havoc throughout Texas. Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a police officer fighting crime on the front lines? Come along with us on an exciting ride through the streets where law enforcement personnel risk their lives in order to protect and serve. Can you withstand the suspense and adrenaline-pumping action as law enforcement works against the clock to capture the criminals accountable for several robberies? Don't miss this exciting look inside the world of law enforcement, where justice is relentlessly pursued and stakes are high. A spate of robberies has rocked the Lone Star State, unsettling local communities and leaving law enforcement officials reeling for answers. In a stunning turn of events, bodycam film has emerged, providing an intimate look at the courageous hunt and successful capture of a gang of thieves accountable for several crimes around Texas. This compelling video highlights the bravery and prowess of our police force, while also illuminating the ceaseless efforts made to safeguard and assist the general public. Come explore the gripping story behind the bodycam footage, learn about the complexities of the investigation, and celebrate justice's victory over lawlessness in the Lone Star State. The sharp increase in robberies throughout Texas served as a sobering reminder of how susceptible local communities are to criminal activity and how much work is needed to ensure public safety. Reports of isolated cases quickly turned into a full-fledged epidemic, coming in from all throughout the state. Convenience stores were attacked in the dark of night, bold robberies targeted banks, and unwary businesses were taken advantage of by armed attackers. The culprits' audacity and skill to avoid capture instilled fear in the hearts of the populace and left law enforcement officials at a loss on what to do. Law enforcement organizations came under increasing pressure to find the perpetrators and stop the crime spree as the thefts went on unabated. Officers had to respond to the crisis with coordination and tenacity, using a variety of investigative tactics, such as undercover stings and surveillance operations, to bring about justice. Law enforcement persisted in their mission to safeguard the communities they served, despite the difficulties presented by the elusive nature of the criminals and the wide geographic reach of the crimes. Officers became more determined to bring the offenders to justice and bring calm back to the impacted regions as the stakes rose with each robbery. In an effort to solve the case, law enforcement organizations conducted a comprehensive investigation into the spate of robberies that swept over Texas, utilizing both conventional investigative techniques and state-of-the-art technology. The burglars' intended targets' surveillance footage was painstakingly examined by detectives in an effort to find evidence and identify possible culprits. In the meantime, forensic specialists painstakingly examined tangible proof gathered from crime scenes, including ballistic evidence, DNA samples, and fingerprints, in an effort to connect the criminals to their crimes. In order to piece together the chronology of events and identify important players in the robberies, witness interviews were essential. Additionally, undercover operations were started, in which police assumed the identity of possible targets in order to get intelligence and details about the criminals' whereabouts. The cooperation of several law enforcement authorities, such as county sheriff's offices, local police departments, and federal law enforcement agencies, made it easier to share resources and information, increasing the likelihood that the robbers would be caught. Officers continued to be watchful and tenacious throughout the investigation, not stopping at nothing to apprehend the offenders and put an end to the terror that was engulfing Texas. Law enforcement agents began a dogged pursuit of the thieves responsible for the series of crimes across Texas as the investigation became more intense and leads were pursued. Equipped with data obtained from forensic examinations, surveillance, and interviews with witnesses, law enforcement officials initiated concerted endeavors to locate and apprehend the offenders. Officers chased after the suspects at great speeds, their lights flashing in the dark and sirens blaring as they raced through city streets and highways. The bandits used evasive tactics and made numerous attempts to avoid capture, so the pursuit was not without difficulties. But the law enforcement officials' perseverance and resolve won out as they used resource management techniques, coordinated their actions, and kept lines of communication open to corner the suspects. Officers were motivated by a sense of duty to protect the people they served to stay focused on their job, even if the stakes were high and their adrenaline was racing. Officers closing in on the suspects, their experience and training guiding them through the confusion and uncertainty of the chase, brought the chase to a dramatic conclusion. Ultimately, the robbers were apprehended, ending their reign of terror and bringing calm back to the impacted communities of Texas, thanks to their unyielding resolve and dedication to justice. Law enforcement officials closed in on the robbers as the chase came to a close, resulting in a dramatic and stressful confrontation between the culprits and the authorities. Officers cautiously approached the suspects, knowing full well that armed and desperate people may be a threat. Their veins were heavy with adrenaline. Officers ordered the suspects to surrender while maintaining a tense standoff, demanding that they draw their firearms and speak in a firm, authoritative manner. The suspects faced a critical time as they considered their options and planned their next action after learning they were surrounded and outnumbered. Officers and suspects were equally nervous about how the confrontation would turn out because they knew that the decisions they made in the heat of the moment may have far-reaching effects. Law enforcement personnel handled the situation with poise and composure even as temperatures escalated, which is a credit to their professionalism and training. In the end, the authorities' prompt action resulted in a peaceful conclusion of the conflict and the perpetrator's arrest without any other incidents. The confrontation's eventual resolution represented a major win for law enforcement and a potent reminder of their steadfast dedication to defending the communities they are tasked with serving. Law enforcement officials exhaled collectively as the confrontation came to a close and the culprits were taken into custody, knowing that justice had been done and their persistent efforts had paid off. The communities harmed by the crimes felt relieved by the case's successful conclusion, which gave them peace of mind that the robbers were no longer a threat. The weight of the suspects' misdeeds weighed heavily in the air as they were led away in handcuffs, acting as a sobering reminder of what happens when illegal activity occurs. Law enforcement organizations carried on with their behind-the-scenes work in the interim, compiling evidence, conducting interviews, and getting ready for the ensuing judicial proceedings. Following the resolution, the towns were filled with a sense of thankfulness and appreciation as people thanked the officers who had put in countless hours to apprehend the offenders. The case's resolution demonstrated the professionalism and devotion of law enforcement officials, reinforcing their will to preserve the rule of law and safeguard the security and safety of every citizen. After the case was resolved, law enforcement personnel reflected on the difficulties they had encountered, the lessons they had learned, and the wider ramifications of the investigation and the thieves' capture. The favorable result demonstrated the value of coordination, communication, and cooperation in handling complicated criminal cases, and validated the cooperative efforts of several authorities. It also emphasized the need of tenacity and resolve in the face of difficulty, showing that even the most difficult obstacles can be conquered with commitment and effort. Furthermore, the case's outcome sparked a more thorough investigation of the underlying causes of criminal conduct and crime's primary causes. Recognizing that taking proactive steps to address these issues can help prevent crime before it occurs, law enforcement agencies increased their efforts to address problems like substance misuse, unemployment, and poverty. The case's outcome also acted as a reminder of the value of law enforcement authorities collaborating closely with locals, companies, and community organizations to enhance safety and security in order to fight crime. In the long run, the case's outcome inspired and motivated law enforcement officials, reinforcing their dedication to defending and assisting the public. It reaffirmed their faith in the ability of cooperation, creativity, and tenacity to achieve justice. Officers stayed alert and committed to their work on the front lines of law enforcement because they knew that their actions improved the lives of the people they had sworn to protect. The case's settlement represented a major win for law enforcement and a victory of justice over criminality. It proved the law enforcement officers' unwavering commitment, professionalism, and bravery in risking their lives to serve and defend their communities. The triumphant result proved the value of cooperation, coordination, and tenacity in the face of difficulty. The communities impacted by the robberies were relieved, but they were also reminded of how crucial it is to respect and assist police enforcement in upholding law and order. The case's resolution also emphasized the necessity of ongoing watchfulness and aggressive efforts to stop crime and deal with its underlying causes. Law enforcement organizations will be guided and informed going forward by the lessons learned from this experience as they diligently strive to protect the rule of law and guarantee the safety and security of every citizen. Subscribe now for more gripping stories of law enforcement triumphs and the relentless pursuit of justice. Join us as we delve into the heart-pounding world of crime fighting and uncover the bravery and dedication of those who serve and protect our communities. Don't miss out on exclusive content and behind-the-scenes footage. Subscribe today and become part of the journey towards a safer tomorrow.